Today, we're going to connect two vast frontiers of human discovery, the deepest parts of our oceans and, believe it or not, the deepest parts of ourselves.
Okay, I know what you're thinking. That seems like a weird question, right? On one hand, you have the exploration of a world that is completely alien to us. On the other, you have us mastering the very code that makes us, well, us. But as you're about to see, they are two sides of the same incredible story about our progress, our ambition, and the choices we make. All right, first up, let's take a plunge. We're talking thousands of meters below the surface. For centuries, we pretty much assumed the deep ocean floor was just a flat, lifeless desert. Turns out, we couldn't have been more wrong. Instead of a desert, we're finding places like this. These are seamounts. Think of them like underwater mountains, but they act more like these bustling cities in the deep. They shape ocean currents, they concentrate nutrients, and they support this incredible range of life, from tiny corals all the way up to sharks and whales. They are truly oases of life.
And this really drives home just how little we actually know. I mean, look at this little creature. It's a brand new species of coral, discovered more than 4,000 meters down. It lives in total darkness, and it does something really unique. It attaches itself to these, well, they kind of look like potato-sized rocks, right? They're called polymetallic nodules.
And here's the catch. Those same nodules, turns out, they're packed with metals like cobalt and nickel. The key ingredients for electric vehicle batteries. This is where it gets really complicated. As this quote from one of the scientists makes crystal clear, the push for deep-sea mining could mean we destroy this species' only known home before we've even had a chance to understand it.
Okay, so deep-sea mining is one thing, but there's another much bigger threat looming over all of this. All that CO2 we pump into the atmosphere, a whole lot of it gets absorbed by the ocean. And when that happens, the seawater gets more acidic. That is a huge problem for any creature that builds a shell or a skeleton, especially corals. And in some of the most important fishing grounds on the planet, a process called upwelling basically puts the problem on steroids. You have this deep water, which is already naturally more acidic, rising to the surface. But then it sucks up even more CO2 from the air. You end up with these super acidic hotspots, a perfect example of how our climate impact gets magnified in the places that can least afford it.
All right, so let's pull up from the deep sea for a minute and switch gears completely. We're going to journey into that other frontier I mentioned, the human genome. And the story here, wow, it could not be more different. We're not talking about fragility and threats. We're talking about breathtaking speed and unprecedented power. I mean, just take a look at this timeline. It's wild. In the span of just one generation, we went from just starting to map our own DNA, to finishing the map, to building tools that can actually edit it, and then to approving the very first cures based on that tech. The pace is it's absolutely explosive. There's no other word for it.
To really get a sense of this revolution, let's talk about the cost. Back in 2001, if you wanted to sequence just one person's genome, you'd need a cool $100 million. An amazing achievement for sure, but basically off limits for almost everyone. And today, that same process costs around $500. No, that is not a typo, $500. That's a 99.9% drop in cost. It is just staggering, and it shows you exactly how this went from being a massive government project to a tool that can be used in clinics everywhere. So what does all this progress actually mean? Well, it means we're living through a flat-out revolution, not just in medicine, but for the economy too. And this isn't some abstract, far-off thing. It's delivering real hope right now. We've already got 36 approved gene therapies for things like cancers and rare diseases. But the pipeline, that shows what's coming. There are 500 more on the way, and the FDA expects to approve 10 to 20 new ones every single year. It's a tidal wave of innovation. And the impact goes way beyond the hospital. This whole field of research supports at least 850,000 jobs in the U.S. alone. And get this, for every single dollar of federal investment in this area, it generates over $2.50 in new economic activity. It is just an incredible success story. And this brings us right back to where we started. We have these two incredible stories of exploration. On one side, we have this accelerating mastery over our own biology. And on the other, we're discovering a fragile alien world just as our own actions threaten to destroy it. And this is where those two frontiers collide. On one side, you've got a newly found code of life, perched on a rock we want to mine for our green technologies, and on the other side, you've got the genetic code we're learning to rewrite to save human lives. See the issue? We're solving problems in one domain by creating potentially irreversible ones in another.
This quote really just hits home, doesn't it? In genetics, we're bringing new knowledge, new cures, and new hope into existence. But in the deep sea, our progress on the surface risks making an entire world of life vanish before we ever even get the chance to know it's there. So where does that leave us? It leaves us with this paradox. Our own genius has unlocked the building blocks of life itself, offering us a future free from diseases that have plagued us for millennia. But that same genius, that same drive to build and consume, now threatens to erase entire chapters of life's history on Earth, chapters that we haven't even read yet. And that poses the ultimate question for our time.